Hugh Hefner, a true American icon, created an empire that was unrivaled.
Although some of his bunnies may have gone rogue, it's because of the love and respect that we received from the man behind it all.
The Rogue Bunnies' mission is simple: 100 Playmates taking control of their valuable IP, while honoring Hef's iconic Playboy style and bringing that experience to our collectors.
Like only we know how, because after all, we did learn from the best.
Relive the stories from the most prominent celebrity home in history.
From those of us that lived it,
The employees that worked it,
and the guests who loved it.
And
the mayhem continues!
We're doing something really unusual today. We're actually recording an episode at the Rogue Bunnies studios in Torrance, California. Because we're on the road all the time. We rarely get this kind of opportunity.
This is really cool, Scott. And thank you for putting this together, man.
We
This is
are-
badass. This is really cool. I mean, my God. We already started off with pizzas and freaking got
Pinball.
the beers
I
going.
know, the pinball
Oh my
machines,
God,
man.
this is freaking
The
badass.
Playboy
I made
machines
$9
are-
million on the pinball machine.
yes.
That's right.
New
Those-
person on the leaderboard.
Those voices you're hearing, co-host Victoria Fuller, Brian Olea. Why don't you go ahead and introduce our three special guests today?
Of course, we've got Donna, Miss November 94.
hi.
You know Victoria, January 96.
That's me.
Angel, July 96. And you want to have a party? We have the one, the only, Joe Plante, also known as Club Joe.
Glasses
In
were
the
just
house.
raised everywhere. All around the planet, glasses were raised.
Raise a toast.
Yes, let's
I mean, if you're going to be talking about parties, you got to have the most infamous bartender. Seriously. I mean, Joe, you were at the mansion how long?
33 years.
Whoa, 33 years?
That's-
That's
wow.
So
amazing.
you started in what year?
It's incredible.
1988.
1988.
Wow.
You're all the way
As a
there.
young man.
What did I drink?
And by the time I give up, and by the time I was there a month, I was an old man.
Aw.
Well, you were an experienced man.
I was old.
How did you start the mansion?
Aged.
Good story. I was moving furniture for Foots Mayflower and working part-time in a bar in Redondo Beach called the Blue Moon Saloon.
Okay.
And I was moving furniture with a guy named Steve Major.
Oh,
You know Steve?
Steve, yeah.
And
a
he
really
said
good
he-
friend of Guy DeCoute.
Yeah, and he said he worked at the Playboy Mansion. I said, man, how'd you get a job like that? And so we talked, and I said, if you ever need a bartender, give me a call. And he called that New Year's Eve. He called and said somebody didn't show up. How long would it take you to get here? I said, maybe 5 minutes.
You made it to the Playboy Mansion from Redondo Beach.
I may have lied. Took me about an hour and a half to get ready and get there, but filled out my paperwork when I got there and never left. So I've been there, was there ever since.
Wow.
Wow.
That's awesome.
We're in the right place at the right time.
Best place to work ever?
Ever. I call it the happiest place on earth. Disneyland has nothing on us.
Well,
That's
they
right.
turned
Truth.
50 the same year.
Is that right?
right?
Did they
Yeah.
Yeah.
Both the
Disneyland-
happiest
Really
places
cool.
on earth.
Disneyland has nothing on the Playboy
That's
Mansion.
true.
Exactly.
I agree.
We were the happiest place on earth for sure. No question about it.
So
That's
what were
true.
the part? Okay, because the Playboy Mansion went through multiple different party eras, as you could say. I mean, you think about the 70s parties.
Yeah.
We've had shows talking about that with like Allison and Joel.
Yeah.
And thinking back to like, when the Village people would stay there and they'd perform. Then you have the 80s, was just outrageous.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you go through the 90s and the Kimberly years where, it was more of a family
Well, it
home.
went from negligees and bathrobes to
Black
Black
tie.
tie.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you
And
first
then
got
it
there,
went-
what were the parties like?
well, it was negligees and bathrobes at first,
Right.
and then Kimberly era was that worked the wedding. Then it went to black tie, and then I remember the phone call that came, and 10 minutes later it went. New Year's Eve went from he made the phone. She called him. He took the call at the pool bar, and 10 minutes later we got a notice that New Year's Eve went right back to negligees and
Wasn't it
bathrobes.
the men had to wear black tie and the women was optional?
Yeah.
Well, no, it was
The men had to wear black tie for a long time and the women could wear lingerie, but the men had to dress up. For a while there, I thought that was the case because they were trying to keep the men, if you wear a tuxedo, then you're not going to be
But I think
crazy.
you're talking about right after Hef and Kimberly had split, and then the boss was resurging the parties.
That's what I mean.
And that's when they were doing that like either or kind of a thing for the women as a transition.
Yes.
When it turned over at first, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
But
talking
back
about.
in the day,
That's
it
when I
was
came on the
known
scene.
you came in lingerie.
The negligees and bathrobes. That's what it was. That's kind of what the invitations said.
Right.
Back then, negligee bathrobe kind of dress style.
Oh my gosh.
And it changed when he got married, then it unchanged when they got divorced or separated.
And Joel and Allison, and something I didn't know is you used to see all those pictures of the parties and stuff back in the 70s, early 80s, and they're all in the Great Hall and everything, and you just assume that the Great Hall is full and then the tent in the backyard is full, but there was no tent. And the parties were small, maybe 100, 200 people, but it would all be in the Great Hall. It would all take place in the house and not on the grounds.
Oh, wow.
That was through the
really
70s more. Through the 70s more. They took place in the Great Hall, basically. That's my understanding. I got there 88, so I was late 80s, early 90s.
Right.
Victoria, refresh our listeners' memory. Joel and Allison.
So Joel and Allison are longtime mansion mates, if you will.
Joel
They
was
were
Hef's best friend, and
one of Hef's best friends was Joel and
Yeah.
Allison. They went out with him constantly, but she also worked for the magazine and did different things. But she's been around. They've both been around the mansion so much, and they spend a lot of time with Hef. And we interviewed them, and they had some great
I
stories.
think didn't Hef even give Allison away for her
Yes,
wedding?
Hef
yes.
gave
I
Allison
definitely
away.
recommend
Close.
everyone has to listen to that
They were
show.
very,
It was awesome over at Hotel
They were
Ziggy.
close to Hef, very
And-
close.
They were
Hef.
close, and they came in at a right time because that was when Hef wanted to start getting out on the scene, and he kind of didn't have a posse of any kind because he'd been married and whatever, and so they were kind of like it was the three of them, and they added to the posse.
And
so
she was doing some photography back
She was,
then.
and
Yeah,
she was
back then
also-
for
And social secretary.
social secretary for a year or two. Yeah.
Nobody had more of a front row seat than those two.
Nobody.
Oh yeah, for
You're
sure.
right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Donna, what was
And
what
me.
was do you
No,
remember what were the parties like when you first started? You were during the Kimberly
I
years,
was
right?
during Kimberly, so
Kimberly
everything
years.
was very family oriented. Like the tennis courts had all the kids' toys.
Yeah.
They couldn't go and play at the game room. All the little statues were taken down. You couldn't have all those things around. It was it was still a lot of fun. I mean, it wasn't like you missed
Still a
being in
mansion.
lingerie.
Oh, still freaking
I mean,
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
in gowns and tuxedos. It was still like we got to dress up. It was a lot of fun, and there's a lot of people.
If
there,
it
so
was a
great.
movie, it would be rated what?
PG.
PG,
Yeah, there you go.
And it wouldn't be uncommon to trip over a kid's toy anywhere
Yeah.
around there at that period of
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Anywhere you
Oh,
went,
yeah.
you could fall over a kid's toy.
Everywhere.
And during that period of time, you would see Hef up in the morning, which you never saw Mr. Hefner up in the morning. And you'd see him up in the morning, walking the kids, or, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Walking around the property with kids, and you never saw that before. He was always up late at night, slept in the daytime. So that was something that changed dramatically at that point in time. He was up in the morning, which
Yeah.
I noticed.
For you ladies, when the parties changed, right? Because like we described that it was family PG, you would go out and buy your gown. Oh my gosh, we're gonna do this.
Yeah.
Was there even a Midsummer Night Dream Party then?
Yeah.
Or was
Yeah,
that canceled
but it was
out?
gown.
But it was also gown. Okay.
Yeah, the one that I
that
went
is
to
so
was
weird
gown.
for me.
No,
You know what I mean?
Midsummers when I came onto the scene started when I was 96, 97. By 97, the Midsummers was
Goes back to the lingerie.
I remember
Yeah, we had
Midsummer
gowns.
always being lingerie.
The year that I think it was right in the midst of the
See,
big
I
part
moved
of
out
it.
here in '97.
yeah. That's when
Yeah.
it went. That's when it went
when
back.
it changed, probably.
Yeah, because I can
Yeah.
remember it started there in 96 for myself. I recall New Year's Eve, of course, black tie, beautiful
Yeah.
gowns.
Yep.
But I thought, wait a minute, 97, I could have sworn Midsummer was lingerie. It
Yeah, by
was,
that
But it
point
was
it was.
tamer.
but it was tamer. Yeah, I was just gonna
Yeah.
say, but it was
Tamer.
lingerie, more of like the long gowns
Yeah.
and
You actually
stuff
had,
like that.
like,
you weren't like
robes over it, even if it was sheer. You had robes. It wasn't. Just
you weren't
women
really seeing
walking
nudity. You really
No.
weren't.
Well, and they didn't have the body painted girls and stuff like that.
That's true.
Yeah,
That came in
none
later.
of that was there. And
Everybody, think about your best Midsummer Nights stories. We're going to come back. We're going to take a short break. We're going to come back after we refresh our drinks.
Yeah.
All right?
oh, what's that?
This is Jennifer Pershing, Miss March 2009 and Series 1 Rogue Bunny. I'm inviting you to go rogue with the sexiest women on the blockchain and purchase Series 2 trading cards in packs while supplies last. You can also collect individual cards from Series 1. A lucky few will find a legendary or epic card. Why is that special? Because you become an instant VIP with access to gated channels to chat with bunnies in our Discord, Plus, you get automatic invites to all of our in real life events. We're building a community that I think you want to be a part of. I know I want to be in your Dapper wallet, and I have 49 more gorgeous bunny sisters that would agree. Just go to roguebunnies.com, click Buy NFTs, and get out your credit card because no crypto is needed, and start collecting.
Welcome to the metaverse.
Oh my gosh. Actually, now that I think about it, in 1995, they actually canceled Midsummers.
What?
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
It was the 1 year. I think it was because they had just gotten married. It was this huge thing. The kids were just born, and that whole I don't. No, there was the 1 year because I was supposed to go, and I ended up not being able to go. Okay, I was all cute and pregnant by that point, but I was excited because it was going to be a cool thing to do. But
When did Halloween start? Because one of the first Halloween parties I went to, the first Halloween party I went to,
I think it was 96 or 97.
It must have been 97 because I was in
Because
that.
it was early.
Yeah, because they were letting people drive up at that time,
Oh,
and it
yeah,
blocked
I
off of
remember
all of.
when we
s-
came
Oh, it was
Oh,
insane.
yeah.
It was
The
insane.
problem,
So if
the
you weren't
problem
there
with
first,
that was
yeah.
is it blocked off clear
Everything.
back to Sunset,
Yep.
and so the
talking
city said
Sunset
you couldn't
Boulevard,
do it,
yeah.
and so they gave us 50 drive-ons after that. They were allowed 50 drive-ons, capped it at 50, and that was it.
Wow.
And that's when everyone had to go park down by
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
mall
Yeah,
in Beverly Hills.
right. Well, you guys didn't usually have 1,000 cars driving up.
Well, actually, everything got moved to UCLA.
Yeah.
So it's
That's
UCLA parking lot number 4. And that's when everything got moved. But I remember when that backup happened because I remember. Oh, this is so funny.
I'm like,
so
damn.
Mary O'Connor,
Took
right?
2 hours to get in for some
Well,
people.
I was
Oh my
helping Mary
gosh.
O'Connor
Yep.
at the front, right? As people were coming in and everything, and I just did whatever Mary asked. We're just like, okay, we're going to check these people in. And she goes, Brian, I need your help right now. You got to start walking through all the guests, all the cars, and find out who's on, and flag who can come on and who has to go because they had to let everyone on.
Right,
Like
because
everybody
yeah.
had to come in. It was insane, right?
Yep.
So they're like, fly them through. Everyone has to go through. So I'm sitting there and I'm going through. And that's what was like the coolest thing ever is when I rolled the window down to the limo driver and I'm like, hi there, who do you have in the back? I need to know if they're on the list. If not, I need you to run through because we're trying to get things going. The freaking window drops down and we had just had a fight night, right? No more than a week, 2 weeks prior up at the house. And fight nights, for those that are listening, are going, what do you, this is the big fight nights where we turned into like a boxing ring and all that stuff in the backyard. It was literally just watching the fights in the mansion in the great hall. Remember, we had the movie screens up there. We had the TVs up in the dining room, and all the celebrities would all hang out. I remember, and I was sitting there, and I think I was there with Gene Simmons. He was standing there. Fred Durst had come, drummer from Oingo Boingo. I'm just like, all these things are flashing in my head, right? Well, who was at the bar? It's freaking Jack Nicholson.
No.
Right? And Jack Nicholson's at the bar, and you're like going, oh my gosh. But you're just like looking around, just blown away.
Jack
and
is a
next thing you
classic.
know, we're now going through the freaking limos. I asked the limo driver, who do you have? And all of a sudden, the window drops, and I go, oh, okay. And I'm like, excuse me, sir. What's your name? It's freaking Jack. Are you kidding me?
He hadn't been back. That was the first time he had been back.
Yeah. Look at the hairs are coming back up. I remember just going, oh, Mr. Nicholson. The man remembered my freaking name.
Wow.
I'll never forget that. And he goes, it's Brian, right? And I'm like, whoa, yes, Mr. Nicholson, absolutely. You're on. You're coming in. There's a fun side story I will tell off air.
The one
in
at
our
the wishing well?
conversation. We're going to keep that one with ourselves. But
wishing
still,
well?
it was things like that.
Yeah.
That
Nicholson was a classic. I remember he's at the bar one night, and a girl came up and asked him if he wanted to dance. He looked right at her and said, wrong verb, honey.
Oh my God.
So
It was a classic.
for us as the staff, right?
Yeah.
I want to hear from everyone, right? What was it like? All of a sudden, you're seeing these legendary icons. Like Joe, you're serving, and all of a sudden, do you remember anyone that other than Jack, others that came up? You're like, oh my gosh, and you're serving that person.
Everybody, but I never was much of a movie watcher or a TV person or I was in the water always and doing other stuff, so I wasn't such a movie guy. So a lot of people that were famous, I don't really know. I mean, I'd be talking to people for a long time. I didn't know who they were.
Oh my goodness.
So it was kind of good because I'd have
That's
great
kinda nice.
conversations
That is
with them.
kinda great,
And
actually.
they would walk away, and then people would say to me, who you were talking to? And I said, no. Well, I'm, oh, wow. But So I think that helped me in a lot of ways, not knowing people.
Yeah, because
So,
then you're just chill, and it's not like
Maybe
a.
you're just treating them like a normal person, which probably they're not
probably
used
the-
to.
probably
not
one of my-
used to that.
For
Maybe
sure.
one of my most memorable moments was New Year's Eve, one of the last maybe parties we worked. I had a lady come down, it was negligee, elderly, very elderly. She came down and she said, I'd like a glass of white wine with 3 ice cubes. And anytime somebody got detailed, like I want 1 ice cube or half ice cube, I would say, well, how about 2 ice cubes? I'd always mess with everybody. That's just the way it was. No, I'd like 3. I said, how about 2? How about 3? I said, how about 1? So I ended up giving her 2. Thank you. And she went behind me. Right, I was working in the house just below.
Yeah.
I usually work the full bar always, and I was working down below. So then she sent this kid down, her assistant, and he said, Miss Russell would like a glass of white wine with 2 ice cubes in it. I said, Miss Russell, that's Jane Russell.
Oh,
That
she was a
to me,
Playmate,
now,
right?
I knew who
Was she
Jane
a Playmate?
Russell was, and it still breaks my heart because she passed 2 months later. But I might have I have a photograph of her. Wow. He actually came back down later and said, Miss Russell would like her picture taken with you. Only, I guess, because I was the only guy in the world that ever gave her some crap.
Yeah, probably.
So she came down. I might have the only picture, the last picture of Jane Russell ever taken. In a negligee with me.
Yeah.
That to me was probably the
She
greatest.
probably never wore a negligee outside of that.
One of the best moments of
amazing.
my work in the Playboy Mansion, yeah.
That's
so I
How
still
about
have
you,
that.
ladies? Anyone that you can remember running into and going, oh my gosh, because you are the celebrities. Think about this. You are the celebrities at the mansion. You are. You're the Playmate.
Okay,
You're the
so
one that
yes, we
everyone's
are,
going
but
and going,
okay,
hey.
So I had my little oh my God moment because I'm an 80s child growing up, and Judd Nelson was at the mansion.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I was working, it was the show for the LGBT
QT.
show.
Yeah.
It was before QT came in.
Okay.
It was just LGBT. And it was, Roseanne Barr was the host. And it was great. It was beautiful. The whole thing was great. Loved it. My time working ended, and I was able to go to the bar and get a drink. And I'm getting a drink. I hear someone going, babe, honey. And I'm like, what the fuck? My husband's not here. Who the fuck is that? And I look over, and it's Judd Nelson going, babe, come here. I'm like, okay, 1 minute. I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing. That's Judd Nelson. Oh my God. And all I can think of is Breakfast Club, right? It's in my head. And I get over there and he's like, honey, I just want you to meet my friends. These are these guys. These are the 2. And I'm like, okay, great. And they're like, okay. They're like, oh, you're so beautiful. Okay, thanks. And we go and we sit down. He goes, thank you so much. I'm like, sure. Oh my God, Judd Nelson, I just pretended to be your girlfriend for a minute. This is great.
That's so
That's
cool.
so
That
cute.
was my one little, because, I'm usually not totally starstruck by people. I've got a lot of people in my life that have been, in that spotlight, but it was like, it's Judd Nelson, and all I can think of is, yeah.
Did you give him an
Breakfast
earring?
Club, right? I almost
Did you give him an
did.
earring?
I was so tempted.
When he
to do
walked
that
away
moment.
with his fist up in the air
Like,
and then turned around and going,
he's got his
don't you
earring.
forget about me?
Right. I mean, all of it was playing through my head, and I'm just like,
Oh my God.
Everybody that was anybody was through that place, so it would be easy.
it
to
really
be-
is.
Yeah.
It would be easy to get starstruck, but it just some people were and some people weren't.
Yeah.
He used to come up for a lot of the movie nights that I was talking about. It was really cool. I remember just tripping out. You'd see him sitting there on the stairs, chilling, watching the fight. No,
He was very much
They were all
not that
normal. They were all
they're
normal.
all normal. They all had their
100%.
variations of it, but
People
they're all
think-
very normal.
What was the ultimate country club? Think about it.
People think
They could
they're
be who
something
they were.
special, but they're no different than you and I talking right now. Most everybody that I talked to was as normal as the day is long, and they're not.
Well, they're just in front of a camera.
Unless
It's the
you
only
put them-
difference.
unless
I mean,
you-
it's not-
They're doing their
Take
job.
the
They're
camera
doing their
side,
job.
They're
yeah,
who
it's just
they
a
are.
person.
How about you, ladies?
unless you put them on a pedestal, I think. And
Yeah.
so
Anyone you can remember when you walked up and you're just like, you're hanging out, maybe it's sharing a drink or whatever, and you're thinking about, okay, this is kind of surreal. I'm used to watching you on a screen, or I'm used to maybe listening to their music, and next thing you know, you're all just chilling.
Gosh.
Well,
Angel?
we were.
Victoria?
There's a bunch of us that were at the drop party for Eminem for his album.
Okay.
Remember, and it was during the day, and the music was Dr. Dre was producing. It was for his album that was coming out, and they're like, he's going to be the biggest thing since sliced bread. He was this tiny little blonde kid with a white T-shirt and jeans on. He looked like straight out of J.C. Penney's. And I was just like, okay. And then he started singing, and it was just the sound was bad. You really couldn't hear his talent or anything. And we all took pictures with him and stuff. I still have the pictures and whatever. And I remember thinking, this kid is not going anywhere. And you know, because you just couldn't tell. And of course, he became the biggest thing. And he was really nice, though. He was really, really nice. So it was a reverse starstruck because I ended up really liking his music. But I met Donald Trump. God, I don't know if I've talked about this before, but I met him at 4th of July, and him and Melania were there, and I was pregnant with my daughter. Melania had already just had her child and their son, Barron, and so her and I were talking, and then he came over. He's wearing his Hawaiian shirt and everything. It was just, total summer outfit for him. And we got to talking, and he kept looking at me weird and looking. He goes, I feel like I know you. And I go, oh, yeah. And he goes, oh, Victoria? And I go, well, I was on reality because he had his show. So we're all reality.
Apprentice.
And then when I told him I was on The Amazing Race, he was like, oh, my God. Him and Melania grabbed each other like, oh, my God, you're John and Victoria. And I'm like,
oh,
yeah.
That's cool.
And I go, yeah. And he goes, we talk about you after every show in bed. We watch the show, and then we talk about your relationship after every show.
Backtrack that again. You didn't say we talk about you every night in bed. Okay.
Yes, while they're in bed. They're not obviously doing much, right? So,
Oh my gosh.
and I was like,
No, wait.
What?
Wait, you're trying to paint a picture like they're just sitting up and
watching TV.
They could be humping and whispering sweet nothings in their ear about the great race.
John and Victoria.
Yeah, Victoria. But so he's like, oh my gosh. He goes, so is John Baker here? And I go, yeah. And he goes, would you go get him? I would love to talk to him. And I was like, oh my God, he's going to get such a big head over this. So I go over to the slip and slides.
Oh, yeah.
We're all the topless girls, and 4th of July, we all go down topless. That was the funnest thing. Yeah, you're the slide master.
Before the big one?
No, the big ones were there.
Okay.
And we were all sliding down, and we were having the best time and whatever. And I don't know if it was those or not, but we were all, girls were topless. And I said to John, Donald Trump is here, and he's asking to talk to you. And he's like, all these half-naked girls, and he's like, I'm there. He's like, couldn't even, And so they ended up chatting for quite a while. And I was like, oh my God, he's going to get such a big head. But long story short, when Hef had his 80th birthday, Trump came to the 80th birthday with his daughter. And I saw him there and I thought, oh, I'm just going to say hi. He's never going to remember me. I wasn't pregnant anymore. He was like, hi, Victoria. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe he remembered I was starstruck that he remembered my name. He must meet a ton of people. So
yeah, but he was talking about you in bed.
Yeah, he was talking about
your lips.
You know what? Let's hold that because I want to segue off this Donald Trump story. I've been dying to share this, and it's perfect. Let's take a quick break.
Yep.
We'll be right back. You are listening to Rogue Bunnies Mayhem.
Hey listeners, Victoria Fuller here, entrepreneur, artist, and of course forever Miss January 1996. If you're like me and many others, I'm missing the fun-filled days of a magical world built by a true innovator. Well, you're in for a treat because my bunny sisters and I have joined forces, or should I say, gone rogue, to revamp the heydays while exploring the future. I'm talking about the metaverse. So come join me and our sorority of the sexiest ladies on the planet. I promise you won't be disappointed. To join the party, find us at roguebunnies.com. That's ROGUEBUNNIES. Just fucking get your ass on the computer, on the phone, any device possible. iOS, Google, I don't really care. Just type in roguebunnies.com. Fucking do it.
Welcome to the metaverse.
I mean, I've met so many people at the mansion, and I think, there are the few that you're like, oh my God, that's so-and-so, or that's, I had an encounter once with Ben Affleck, who I guess was really...
encounter?
Not an encounter, no, it was just like, he was at the bar. No, I should rephrase that.
Listening.
No, just a moment where like he was at the bar, and then it must have been Halloween, actually. He was at the bar, and I kind of came up to the bar, and he was just such a jerk. He was so...
what was he dressed up as?
Atypical?
Nothing,
Ben
actually.
Affleck.
Nothing. But
there's no way he would have gotten in the party.
Sure, he just
You have to
that's
be
all.
dressed
then maybe it wasn't
No, Ben
Halloween.
Affleck
I
with a
don't
robe
even
on.
remember.
This
But
was the
I
robe.
just remember
Oh,
I
he
had
probably
like
did the robe. Yeah.
these stupid teeth in, and he was just like, instead of laughing and, like,
that's
oh, it's funny.
disappointing.
He was
That's
kind of like, ew, that's attractive. I'm like, dude, it's a joke. Like, and then he kind of like, whatever. And like walked off. I'm like, But you know who I actually Bill Maher was once at the Bill Maher. Okay,
What do
now
you mean
Bill,
once?
No, he was always at the bar. But the first time I met Bill,
Everything happens at the bar.
Yeah, the first time it was that pool bar. The first time I met him, I had never watched his show. I wasn't like a fan, to be honest.
We had a different show then.
Yeah,
but before it was real time, it was.
No, this was during. I think
was
he was
before
doing real
Real
time.
Was
I
it
think
that Real Time?
I think
Yeah,
he
it was
was
Real
doing
Time.
real
Yeah.
time because he was doing it. He did that show for a really long time, but I wasn't a fan of his really. And so I went up to the bar and like was kind of chatting with him. I knew who he was, but I was like, yeah, I don't even know how the topic came up. I was like, yeah, I don't watch the show. I'm not really a fan. And he was like, oh, I think surprised by my honesty. I'm like,
that's
yeah,
actually cool.
But what was cool about it was he suddenly was like very interested because I wasn't somebody who really knew who he.
That's what I'm
So
saying.
we
That's
started chatting, introduced ourselves. The next party, which was very, like a while from that time, I went over and he's like, "Oh, hi, Angel." A lot of time had passed. I couldn't, like you. I was like, "There's with all the people that they meet." How do they remember that, especially when it was so long ago that I had seen and talked to him? But it was really cool, and it made me feel really cool that he remembered me, just because I wasn't a fan of his.
And did you
But
find
then
out
I
that he was
became a
talking
fan.
about you in bed?
Oh, I don't know about that. But I became a fan of his after that because I thought, oh, wow, he's actually really cool.
When he was in bed with Donald Trump?
He's really cool. He's really genuine. He listens. He's like really.
We always said
pays
he was
attention.
Hef's illegitimate son because he looked so much like Hef a little
does,
bit.
right?
Wow.
Yeah.
But it's just got that dry, sarcastic sense of humor too.
He's a lot like Joel Berliner.
Joel.
Has a similar tone.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
I can
So,
see that.
Scott, you were saying, so we're talking about Donald Trump.
Yeah. So first time I met Donald Trump was at the Playboy Mansion. This was the wrap party for The Apprentice, and I forget which season. It was
I remember that party.
third party,
Yes.
third season maybe, second season. I don't know, but
Small little tent. It was a small party.
yeah, maybe
Small 60 by 60 tent. I remember because I remember helping designing
200.
it.
Yeah, maybe 200 people.
Small, 200 people. Yeah.
And the girls were all instructed to have at least pasties. There were no exposed.
They wouldn't
nipples.
allow anything.
Yep.
Because
So
the NBC and Zex were there.
Yep.
I remember that.
You-
That's
you
right.
could-
yeah.
And even though everybody had a camera with them, or weren't supposed to, but you did, you could not get a picture of Donald Trump with a nipple. It was physically impossible.
Smart PR.
Interesting.
Yep.
Smart
I
PR.
remember that. Now that you say it, I remember that there was a big talk behind the bar. We were talking about,
Yep.
they were talking about this
Yep.
all this. Everybody had to be on their best behavior. We had a little talk. Robbie gave us a big talk.
Yep.
We had to be on our best
The
behavior.
Playboy Mansion was PG-13 that
Yeah.
day.
The funny thing is that he'd actually come to the mansion multiple times prior. You know
Why
what I
do
mean?
it there,
But
though?
it was a big thing because it was, NBC. And,
Yep.
and they were doing all the shows. It was all the different shows. It was a big
Yep.
rap
Yep.
show party thing, and all these different celebrities were there from all the different shows. And I remember, I can't lie. Like, I don't know how. It's like it's a fault
I can
in a
teach
way
you.
because I give away. No, and meaning my face. Like I can try, but my face will give everything away. So I'm sitting in the back, right? That same party, Scott. And Guy DeCote, my boss at the time, comes over and he's looking at me and he goes, "Oh shit, what are you thinking?" And I look at him and I go, they all say that hair is real. And he goes,
Oh no!
"And what are you thinking?" "I got to find out." "So how the hell are you going to find out?" And I go, "Well, if I pull this off, we're cool." And he goes, "You pull this off and you don't get caught by John Luther, the GM." Right?
You're talking. Just to recap, you're talking about confirming whether Donald Trump's hair is real or not. Now he's not president yet, but he's certainly famous.
No.
He's just a
The
billionaire who's
Apprentice.
famous.
Yeah.
Dude, I remember when the inauguration happened, I started laughing my ass off. Like literally laughing, going, "I did this." Okay, so where we're at, right? so I'm
my
going back
goodness.
there, and I think Victoria, I told
Yep.
you the story. Penelope Jimenez, right? She happened to be at the party, and
Also
I'm
a rogue
going-
bunny.
Yes, and so I'm like, I go, "I'll be right back." So Guy's standing there and he's watching me, and he's a tall dude. He's a big strapping guy. People don't realize that he really is. A lot of times when you see any celebrity that you meet, they're short, small, little skinny people, and they say they add pounds or whatever, and they find the right girl that fits. He's a big guy. So I'm now standing behind him and I'm looking around and I see a chair and I'm like going, "I can pull this off." And then Penelope's giving me this look like, what the hell are you doing? You know what I mean? I'm all, shh, quiet, chill, because everyone's attention's on him. Like he's standing there. There's a full circle. I mean, there's a lot of people. They're all around him. He's engaging. I mean, for some reason, when the man talks, all of a sudden everyone wants to just listen. So they're not paying attention to crap around him. I grabbed the chair. I put it up right behind him. And within like 5 seconds, I all of a sudden jump up, get on the chair. I am now staring down on top of his head. And I'm looking down. I look across at Guy and I give a thumbs up. I'm all, it's real. Because I saw this awesome freaking cool swoop. It was the most genius thing I've ever seen. I was like, that's amazing. I can't stay too long, but I saw it. I confirmed it. It was cool. I got that down. Yeah, that's right. A future president I stared down on
if you did that,
head.
If you did that when he was president, the Secret Service would have killed you.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Here right now.
Yeah, that wouldn't have gone
It's
well.
a good thing you didn't turn around.
But it's funny when we tell these little stories and stuff, but we got to live those.
But if you had said his hair is real and announced it to everybody right in front of him, he would have been like, totally. It's the best. It's the best.
It's the best. I don't know why I went into the hef voice.
Of course it is. Of course it is.
And he would actually said, touch it. Touch it.
All the experts agree it's the best hair. It's the best.
So funny.
Oh my goodness.
So Joe, I want to ask you, right? We're talking about different celebrities, different people come up. But I believe that there were certain ways that people knew that if they wanted to get a drink quicker, that you and the bartenders worked out a couple deals. How did you work that out with the guests?
Well, I guess the more you tip, the faster you got to drink, pretty much.
Okay, but how would you make sure that you knew who that person was later?
Well, we had kind of a...
See, you got to understand, at the time, I was, me and Guy, we were the bosses, and we knew what was going on, but we didn't say shit. But we watched it. So this is kind of fun.
We just kind of had a system where if somebody tipped a $20 bill, we would kind of scream out Platinum Club so they thought they were a VIP, and that would shake up the rest of the crowd. They'd want to know what Platinum Club meant, so they would tip $20 bills. And somebody would ask, well, what if I give you 100? We'd scream out, well, if you do that, you're double diamond. You're way on the top of the list. And then the $100 bills would start to fly in. So, I mean, it was quite a system, and it worked extremely well.
And there were no tip jars.
No, there's no tip
No,
jar.
and the drinks are free.
You never saw a tip jar because the boss would never allow it. Hef never would allow it.
I don't even know.
Bills would just go flying over. All of a sudden disappear.
It sometimes took us quite a long time to count the money at the end of the night. It was.
But I remember you guys eventually figured out how to use props. I kind of had to kibosh this one. Do you remember the matchbooks?
Yes, we people love the matchbooks.
Yeah, the Hefner
They love the matchbooks. I mean, and the pens, but the matchbooks were gold. I won't say what we did with them, but they were gold. But they cut us off with matchbooks.
Oh yeah, no, we ended up having to hide all the damn matchbooks.
We couldn't give out matchbooks.
We locked them all up, and we found out they're like, dude, all the bartenders are, where's all our matches going? That's how you hand them out. And if someone came back up and they had a matchbook, you knew, take care of that person.
Take care of that person. I'll tell you a funny story about the matchbooks.
Oh
yes.
When Mr. Hefner got married, I said, how come this matchbook, to Mr. Hefner, I said, how come this matchbook doesn't say Kimberly? How come it doesn't say Hugh and Kimberly Hefner? He said, Joe, some things up here are never going to change.
But she did have her own matchbooks.
She had her own matchbooks.
White matches. She had white matches and he had black matches.
Right.
Yes.
But I said, how come it doesn't say both of you on one matchbook? He said, Joe, some things up here are never going to change. Which I thought was quite an interesting quote.
That is good.
Does anybody have any of those matchbooks?
I think I do.
I do have some. Yes.
I might have a few.
Donna?
100.
I don't think I do.
How about the Playboy pens?
Oh, I have that.
Yes?
I don't have I have some of the pencils, but they're not Playboy
Sadly
pencils.
enough,
They're
I don't
his
have a
Excalibur.
pen. I don't think
I have the
You
Playboy
sold
pen.
your freaking pen. Shut up.
I have a.
Do you know how many bartenders came to me to go, Brian, we lost our pen. We were working last night, and I think from load in and load out, the whole thing. I'm all, oh, dude, I'm not stupid. I know what the hell happened. You're selling those suckers off.
I have the notepad.
No more pens.
After a while.
You got the notepad?
I have a notepad.
I had so many at one time. Now I have like 2, and one of them has 3 pieces of paper on it. So I'm like keeping them. I had Hugh M. Hefner and I had Playboy Mansion.
Ooh.
I had the both. One from
nice.
from his
I have
desk.
to check
I
his
still have
phone now.
my business card that was
Yes.
Oh,
from
yeah.
the Playboy West address on Santa Monica.
Well, mine says
Oh my
Playmate
gosh.
/artist.
Oh, that's
Ooh.
cool.
Look at you.
I made them do that.
Didn't they? And didn't they also have like ID cards for us for the?
I had the ID card too.
I think somewhere.
What
I
are we
have
using
it.
the ID card for?
I don't know.
I had no idea, but
for
we
when
had
we went
ID
to the
cards.
offices.
Yeah.
Remember?
If you went to like Chicago, you could have
Yeah.
like, hey, here I
Yeah.
am, because you don't know
I have
me.
it. I
Never
feel
used
like
it.
I have one somewhere.
I do.
I never used it really, but
I
they
sold
gave it
one
to us.
and kept one.
All of us at the mansion, we all had our own business cards, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
You guys did too.
and they were
That's awesome.
embossed. It had the little bunny head
Yeah.
on it.
Yep.
I still have a bunch of them. Anyone that said that they worked for Playboy, if they didn't have that card, it's full of crap.
Yeah.
I didn't get one.
He's full of crap.
When I meant within say management,
Yeah.
right? Within
Yeah.
management. But I'll never forget. I think I was at bar 1 maybe, and one of the bosses, I'm not going to name his name, but one of the boss's friends who used to help recruit to get people in for the mansion and bring, hey, you're interested coming on in. He's at the bar one, and he has a freaking pad. And I'm watching from across the way, and I'm seeing him put his number down. And I'll never forget, he hands this out to the girl, and I go, literally go walking right by, and I reach in, and I'm like, hey, so-and-so, you know you're not supposed to be, stealing these from the mansion. And homeboy was just freaking
Wait,
out.
who was this?
Okay, it was Ron. So, I mean, I didn't say a last name. So, and Ron gave
Who
me shit.
else would
Why
it
would
be?
you do that? And I'm all,
do that?
because it was funny.
Yeah.
The look on her face and the look on your face, I couldn't resist.
Who else would it be?
We got to live some of the most iconic parties ever.
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 There will never, ever be a Halloween party to match Halloween parties at the Playboy Mansion. Ever. At anybody's
Well,
house anywhere.
not unless Rich Carell is involved.
Okay, ladies, Joe, I just got to thank you guys so much for coming. I mean, this has been a blast. I know we've been doing all these shows on the road and experiencing like all the events that we're doing with Rogue Bunnies, but there's something fun sometimes about coming to a studio. And I want to just say thank you to Scott again. Brett, you guys have just put so much hard work into this, and I'm excited. I mean, look, we got Hef's couch right here. We're gonna be building
know,
this
right?
all up.
That's
I can't wait till we
amazing.
get.
So awesome.
I mean, we got the Playboy freaking pinball
Pinball
machines in here. We got once we can share this with the world. I can't wait to where the cameras are actually moving and we actually go from podcast to vodcast.
I'm feeling kind of at home.
I was saying we got to build a bar
I
in
like
here.
going memory.
Joe, what do you
my
think? If we build
gosh.
a bar, you come
Our
in here, make us
resident bartender?
drink. Yes.
If you build a small bar, whenever you
Plante
have
bar.
a podcast, I'll
Plante
come in
bar.
and bartend.
You heard that.
For the
I
podcast.
heard
that.
it.
That's
Sure.
cool.
I heard it.
Absolutely. Why not?
Well, I know we got to get rapid. I know you ladies
Yes.
you have a busy schedule ahead of yourselves, but I do want to touch on the fact that once again we talk about our boss and what we got to be part of, and he literally built more than an empire. He built a forever family. We want to be able to share with everyone out there that it is possible to create a company that can actually become family.
Thank you.
And that's what our boss did.
He sure did.
Angel, how does everyone follow you?
At the Angel Boris on Instagram and Twitter.
Victoria.
And you can find me at NFT Bunny on Twitter, and nothing else matters.
Donna.
Oh Lord, I have too many. I'll just go with Donna_Norton_Perry. That's my Instagram. From there, you can find everything else.
Yeah.
Find me at the bar.
Right on.
I'll be right next to you.
Plante bar.
Concertzero.com. That's where we talk about your first concert.
I'm Brian Olea. Thank you, everyone, for supporting us, for being part of our family. And I guarantee you, we're all going to meet someday because we're going to have a lot of events, right, Victoria?
That's right.
We have
Already
a
in the
lot of
works.
events, and we want you guys to be able to have these kinds of stories like we have stories where we all just interact. We get to hang out because it's one big family, and we're continuing it out. I'm Brian Olea. You can follow me at Instagram at Real Mr. Mayhem. And
The mayhem continues.